But now, well, it didn't take long before I realized how much I was changing more and more with each new job. And over the last few years, there's been lots of them, thanks to you, dear Micah. Man, I didn't realize how hungry I was, but this burger looks great. Nathan, oh yeah, that's some onions on it, and I can eat onions. Would you be up for swapping? Like plates? Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind onions. Nathan, I appreciate it. It tastes great too. Now, where was I? Micah, other jobs you had been making rules? Nathan, sure, yes. So I've made rules that look like rituals. You know, the kind of thing where you do these types of weird, seemingly ordinary steps, and something exciting or strange or scary or dangerous will happen. Maybe see a ghost or summon a demon or see the date you're gonna die. Micah, so you're saying your job, or at least part of your job, is making up rituals for magic? Nathan, no, not being rude, but you need to pay closer attention. We don't actually make magic rituals. It's just an entirely different thing that requires different knowledge and skills, among other things. What we do is making rules that look like rituals to people that don't know any better. Like, okay, sorry, I see the direction, but can you explain how it's practically different? I mean, if you have a real magic ritual that's designed to summon a ghost, and it does, okay, and then you have your rules that look like a real ritual that's also designed to summon a ghost, then what's the difference? Nathan, that's a better question. There are several differences. The first thing, where power comes from. The second is the design purpose. Actually, you're assuming my rules are to summon the ghost, but they are actually something quite different. The fact that the person using the rules doesn't understand the real point is irrelevant. The third difference between the ritual and rules: rituals require specific intention, rules just require some basic brief and consent. Micah, so you're saying the rules you make aren't necessary, being made for reasons that are obvious on your face, like the Astro Killer guy who really just wanted rules to fuck with people and give them false hope when he planned on killing them anyways? Nathan, exactly. Though, as I said, to work at all, the structure of the rules has to allow for the possibility of success. The rules can be tricky, but they cannot slide. If they offer a path to survive, that path must actually exist, however crooked and narrow. Like, but just because the rules say they're meant to help you doesn't mean that's their main reason for being made. Nathan, yes, you're starting to see it now. I give you some other examples. So there's a lot of ways you can classify or group these kind of rules we make. But for the sake of simplifying in our discussion, we make about them in terms of what they would look like to the player. I say player because every game is ethnic and ethical and will navigate rules. Consider every set of rules is, at least by some definition, a game waiting to be played. So what kind of games do we make? We are the basic summoning games, like a There are basic summoning games. Like I mentioned before, do these things in this way, and you call forth this scary or dangerous supernatural thing. Maybe it's because to maybe it's come to kill you or kidnap you. Maybe it's come to be your slave or grant your wishes. The prize doesn't matter, really, just the rules. Then there are location games. Go on this place and do this thing just right, and you'll get a certain result. This can be by summoning thing or something of that sort, but it can be lots of different stuff. Maybe its particular spot will let you see how you die or see who you truly love. Or you can throw your enemy's name or likeness off a bridge and they'll have bad luck until the next full moon. But my favorite of these survival games, these that can be tied to summoning something or a particular spot. Of course, but there's other various as well, and they can be very simple or very complex, both of which have their variables. Like then you say survival games. You mean like things you have to do to survive in a particular place or situation, Nathan, or occurrence. You'll be surprised how many of those we wind up creating these days. Oh, come on. You know what I mean. Like I do? Sure, of these rules of surviving Hemplo halls overnight, never go to the Stock River in the moonlight. I'm a park ranger. We have a series of odd rules. I'm a search and rescue officer. This job has some strange rules. I'm a bad guy. This store sure has some weird rules. 8 dozen variables, but at their core, most of them are the same. They are secretly dressed as a threat, a trap that looks like a shield, a doom made to seem like a escape. Nathan, you look confused. So let me explain this in a better way. In your interest in the blizzard and the massacre of otherworldly, how many times have you seen stories or real accounts where people talk about the rules for avoiding some dangerous or scary things? Like um, lots, I guess. Nathan, sure. Now why do you think those stories and real accounts exist? Like because people found them interesting and people like to be scared and people like the idea of rules that you can follow or break. Well, because people like puzzles and games. Nathan, exactly. Especially when there is strike attacks, right? The danger, that urge to test yourself and flirt with self-destruction, and that part of where the power comes from. Take the job, for instance. Who would take a job as a ranger or a cop or a chef or a whatever, wherever, aside from whatever normal risks you have to take? You have some weird, abnormal sets of rules and you need to follow them, or else something really, really bad will happen to you. Why do people want to go to a suicide forest or try to summon Bloody Mary? Like, why do you think? Nathan, I think it's the same reason that part of the Genlands is after they get the food past midnight, people crave danger and death, while simultaneously being so erotic that they think they're special and they have follow the rules better than those that have failed. Or if they fail to do so, the rules won't really apply to them. Nathan, but that's just part of it. They also assume that the rules mean structure, which means order, which means safety. If they've given a job watching a woman in a room, they'll just watch an easy, well-paid job. Nothing bad will come to it until it does. Of course. But then the point of rules is very rare. What do you think? Like the survival rules? Not being for survival? Nathan, yes. Like those. Those rules, if followed exactly, should lead to your survival if that is what was promised. But the point of those rules is to challenge and encourage you to get you to enter the rules in the first place. And once you're inside, if you make the slightest mistake, you're trapped. So we make the rules and then set them out into the world to spread and grow and infect enough people that they become real. Micah, okay, I think I get all of that, but what's the point? Let's say I believe you and your employer make all these rules up for different places, spread them around like a virus until people pay enough attention and start believing them, using them even. And what does that accomplish? I mean, what's it all for? Nathan, power and control, mostly. You know, the old saying, power is given and control is taken. It's very true. Do you want an extra pen I can borrow? Do you have an extra pen I can borrow? Micah, yeah. Do you need paper? Nathan, no, this napkin should be enough. What I'm drawing, very crudely, are some of the parts of a clock. Now, one way of talking about these parts are about decorating three categories: power, movement, and escape. In a mechanical clock, the power is provided by a coil piece of wire called a mainspring. The more you twist the knob on the outside, the tighter the wire of coil, and the more tension that builds, the more power. And that power has to go somewhere, right? And it does. That kinetic energy is transferred from the tension of the wire and to the gear of the clock, moving the gears to amplify that power even further as it moves from one wheel to the next. But what is the point of the power that's been harmed and amplified and it has nowhere to go? No way to be expressed? That is why you have what it is called the escapement. It is given the power, a release, and a purpose. It is the same with our rules, our games. The player provides an intentional power, either intentionally or unintentionally. Their interest, their fear, their arrogance, their beliefs, whatever form, and that into text, contact, and intention with the rules take. That provides power and life to rules, the gears of our machines, except they aren't just winding a watch. They're going into it, trying to navigate the wheels and teeth without getting caught or chewed up. This generates more power, which is further amplified by the motion of rules until it reaches the point of release. While some sets of rules are truly meant as a crew of sacrifice, whether the player escapes or not is usually secondarily. The real escapement is the release and harvest of the power generated by their passage, the rules themselves. And every time someone uses the rules or comes to believe them, They are helping solidify every construction of control for someone or something.